The night swallows Fort Benning whole. 4 stories up on the rooftop of Malvesty Hall, the wind carries the smell of Georgia pine and distant gunpowder from the ranges. The city lights of Augusta flicker like dying stars on the horizon. Lieutenant Kira Thorne's boots scrape concrete. Blood drips from her temple, painting dark patterns on the gray surface beneath her feet. "Die, bitch!" Cadet Commander Marcus Vance's voice cuts through the darkness. 6'2" of muscle and rage, wrapped in ranger fatigues. His father's legacy burning in his eyes like a curse he can't escape. 3 others move with him, shadows with intent. Grant Rivers, Tyler Kennedy, Owen Blackwell. Their hands reach for Kira like the world is tilting, like gravity itself has chosen a side. She fights. God, does she fight. Her left hand catches Marcus's wrist, redirects the blow meant for her face. Years of training compressed into microseconds. Muscle memory from places that don't exist on any map. Her elbow finds his solar plexus. The air leaves his lungs in a wheeze. But there are 4 of them. Grant comes from her blind side. His fist connects with her temple. The world explodes in white light. Blood fills her mouth, copper and salt. She tastes her own mortality. Tyler grabs her from behind, arms like steel cables around her chest. Her ribs scream. Something cracks inside her that shouldn't crack. She drives her heel into his instep, hears bone crunch, feels his grip loosen. Not enough. Never enough. They push her toward the edge. Kira's right arm hangs nearly useless. 60% function on a good day. Tonight is not a good day. The nerve damage from Fallujah flares like fire running through dead wire. Her fingers won't close properly, won't grip, won't save her. The ledge approaches, 4 stories of empty air, 50 feet to concrete that won't forgive. "Your father would be ashamed," Kira says. Blood bubbles on her lips. Marcus's face twists. "Don't talk about my father. He saved 12 lives, didn't care who they were." "Shut up." They shove. Kira falls. The world inverts. Sky where ground should be. Her hand shoots out, instinct older than thought. Fingers scrape concrete, nails tear. Blood pools beneath her grip as her body swings into the wall. Her shoulder dislocates with a sound like a gunshot in a cathedral. She hangs, 4 stories above certain death. Marcus leans over the edge. The moonlight catches his face. Hatred and fear mixing into something that might be recognition. Kira's torn sleeve reveals what she's kept hidden. The tattoo. A dragon coiled around a trident. Navy SEAL insignia rendered in black ink and scar tissue. Below it, 8 small marks, 8 tallies, 8 promises kept. Marcus sees them. His face goes white. "What they didn't know," Kira whispers to the darkness, to the ghost of the man who died in her arms 3 years ago, was that the woman they tried to murder had already died once in Fallujah. Cut to black. White text appears, 72 hours earlier. September 15th, 2025, Fort Benning, Georgia. The infantry training base sprawls across pine forests like a monument to controlled violence. Obstacle courses scar the landscape. Rifle ranges echo with the percussion of discipline. Kira Thorne steps out of a rental sedan into morning heat that feels like a living thing. 25 years old, 5'6", 128 pounds of muscle and scar tissue wrapped in an olive green t-shirt and camouflage cargo pants. Dark brown hair falls past her shoulders. Every movement economical, nothing wasted. She carries herself like someone who's learned that stillness is sometimes the most dangerous thing in the room. Colonel James Hartwell watches her cross the parade ground from his office window. 55 years old, silver hair cut military short, eyes that have seen 3 wars and learned to read the spaces between words. He holds her service record, 80% redacted, black bars covering the parts that matter. What remains reads like poetry written in blood. Naval Special Warfare, 4 deployments, Silver Star, Purple Heart. Operations in countries that officially don't exist. Hartwell touches the page where her medical evaluation should be. Nothing. Just darkness where truth used to live. Master Sergeant Diane Fletcher enters with 2 cups of coffee. 42 years old, dark skin, close-cropped hair. A woman who earned her place in a man's world by being better than the best of them. They don't know what's coming, Diane says quietly. Hartwell takes a sip. The coffee tastes like the cheap stuff they serve to people who forgot what good things taste like. They never do. Kira reports to Hartwell's office at 0800. She stands at attention with the kind of posture that suggests the position is more comfortable than rest. Lieutenant Thorne. Hartwell doesn't offer a handshake. Your reputation precedes you. Which reputation, sir? The classified one. The one that includes a silver star, a purple heart, and operations in locations that don't appear on any map. Kira's expression doesn't change. Carved from stone, or maybe ice. I'm here to observe and evaluate, sir. Nothing more. The cadets will assume you're a diversity hire. A box checker sent to make sure the Army is being nice enough to women. I'm aware of that assumption, sir. And you're comfortable letting them believe it? Kira's eyes are the color of winter storms. I spent 4 years in places where assumptions got people killed, sir. The best intelligence comes from being underestimated. Hartwell studies her, looking for cracks, for weakness, for anything that suggests she's not exactly what the classified parts of her file claim she is. He finds nothing. If they test you, he asks, then I'll teach them what testing me costs. The first confrontation comes within the hour. Kira stands at the obstacle course, watching cadets struggle through barriers designed to break bodies and spirits in equal measure. The morning sun turns their sweat into diamonds. Their grunts and curses form a symphony of suffering. She touches her right forearm unconsciously, fingers tracing something beneath the sleeve. The gesture lasts half a second, long enough. You're the Navy observer. The voice comes from behind her. Male, young, carrying the kind of confidence that comes from never being told no. Kira turns. Cadet Commander Marcus Vance stands 6'2", muscle wrapped around bone, wrapped around rage he doesn't know he's carrying. 22 years old, his Ranger tab gleams on his shoulder like a medal made of expectations. Lieutenant Thorne, Kira says, observer, instructor. Marcus looks her up and down. The assessment in his eyes is something between contempt and confusion. Observer, not instructor. You're here to watch, not teach. My orders say both. Your orders don't mean anything here. Marcus steps closer. This is Ranger territory. We earn our tabs through blood. We don't have them handed to us because someone in Washington decided women needed to feel included. The other cadets stop training. Silence spreads like blood in water. Everyone watching. Everyone waiting to see if the woman will break or bend. Kira meets Marcus's eyes without flinching. Cadet Vance, she says quietly. Your father was Sergeant First Class Daniel Vance, 2nd Battalion, 75th Rangers. Killed in action, Helmand Province, Afghanistan, June 19th, 2019. Marcus's face goes white. The color drains like someone pulled a plug. How do you? I make it my business to know the families of fallen warriors. Kira's voice remains calm. A surgeon's voice, cutting clean. He died covering his unit's withdrawal from an ambush. Saved 12 lives, 7 Americans, 3 British, 2 Afghan interpreters. Marcus's hand moves toward her shoulder, reaching, grasping, trying to assert dominance through touch. Kira catches his wrist before his brain registers the movement. Her grip is iron wrapped in flesh. 60% function in her right arm, damaged and scarred and broken in ways that don't show on x-rays. But 60% of a warrior forged in fire is still enough to make a boy remember he's just a boy. She twists. Marcus drops to one knee. Pain contorts his features into something honest. Touch me, Kira says, and I'll teach you what your father should have taught you about underestimating people. She releases him. Marcus scrambles to his feet. His face cycles through emotions too fast to name. Humiliation, rage, something that might be fear if he was honest enough to recognize it. Kira walks away. The weight of 8 tally marks presses against her skin like a promise she's still trying to keep. Somewhere in the spaces between her heartbeats, the ghost of David Brooks whispers in her ear. This is why we fight, not for glory, for them. Kira understands. She's always understood. Flashback, Fallujah, Iraq, March 2022. The building burns. Flames eat the night sky. Heat that melts gear to skin. Smoke thick enough to drown in. The operation designation is Crimson Shield. Classified. Denied by 3 governments. A ghost that never existed chasing shadows that were never there. SEAL Team 8 extracts a compromised intelligence asset. The mission timeline says 3 minutes in, 2 minutes out. Clean. Professional. The kind of operation that becomes a paragraph in a file that no one reads. Then the RPG hits. The explosion turns the world sideways. Concrete becomes shrapnel. Steel becomes rain. The building collapses like God changed his mind about architecture. Petty Officer David Brooks disappears into the debris. 28 years old, blonde hair, blue eyes, the kind of smile that made people forget they were in hell. He has a daughter named Emma, 4 years old. She doesn't know her father is dying in a country that doesn't want him there. Leave him. The team leader's voice cuts through the chaos. Building's coming down. Protocol says abandon. Tactical assessment says he's already dead. Every logical calculation points to withdrawal. Kira Thorne, 23 years old, 4 months into her first deployment, doesn't care about logic. She goes in. The heat is biblical. 800 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot enough to melt the polymer components of her rifle. Hot enough to turn air into glass in her lungs. She breathes fire and tastes her own mortality. David Brooks lies under burning timber, unconscious, chest barely moving. 180 pounds of dead weight wrapped in gear that's melting. Kira grabs him. Her right arm screams as the flames find exposed skin. The synthetic fabric of her uniform melts into her flesh. She smells herself cooking. The scent is pork and chemicals and the end of everything. She drags him through hell. Every step is agony. Her muscles tear. Her lungs bleed. The building groans above them like a dying giant. Timber crashes. Steel screams. The world ends around them in slow motion. They make it out. 3 seconds before the building collapses completely. David Brooks lives 70 more hours, long enough to make it to the field hospital, long enough to hold a satellite phone and tell his daughter that Daddy loves her, long enough to make Kira promise something she's still trying to figure out how to keep. He dies holding a photo of Emma, 4 years old, blonde hair, blue eyes like her father's. She doesn't understand that Daddy isn't coming home. Kira stands over David's body in the field hospital. The Navy will give her a silver star she can't talk about. Injuries that end her operational status. Nerve damage in her right arm that makes long-range shooting impossible. Burns that still ache when it rains. 60% functionality on a good day. They offer medical retirement. She refuses. If she can't operate, she'll teach. If she can't fight, she'll prepare others to survive what she's seen. She takes a sterilized needle and carves the 8th tally mark into her right forearm. Below the dragon, below the trident, below the scars from burns that should have killed her. 8 marks, 8 lives saved over 4 deployments. Syria, Yemen, Iraq, Somalia, countries that blur together into a map written in blood. David Brooks is the 8th mark, the one that cost her everything, the one she still couldn't save. Present day, Fort Benning. Marcus Vance doesn't forget humiliation. Men like him never do. The shame burns hotter than any enemy fire, deeper than any wound. That evening, he gathers his allies. Cadet Grant Rivers, Cadet Tyler Kennedy, Cadet Owen Blackwell. Four young men who believe the world owes them something for being born. They meet in Marcus's quarters. The room smells like boot polish and testosterone, and rage that doesn't know it's afraid. She needs to go, Marcus says. Grant Rivers leans against the wall, 21 years old, dark hair, the kind of handsome that opens doors until it doesn't. She's an officer, man. Navy lieutenant. She's a diversity hire. Marcus's voice hardens. A box checker sent to make us look bad. My father gave everything for this program. I won't let some woman destroy what he built. Tyler Kennedy cracks his knuckles. 21, red hair, freckles that make him look younger than he is. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we remind her where she belongs. Owen Blackwell sits in the corner, 20 years old, brown hair, brown eyes, quieter than the others. Something in his expression suggests he's already regretting being here. Marcus, Owen says carefully, maybe we should what? Let her disrespect my father's memory? Let her walk around here like she earned the right? She's special warfare, Owen says. The file is bullshit. Lowered standards for diversity quotas. You know it. I know it. Marcus stands, the decision already made. We handle this ourselves. The harassment begins the next morning. Small things at first. Kira's training equipment disappears from her quarters. Her name gets scratched off the duty roster. During formation, cadets bump into her. Accidental collisions that leave bruises on her ribs. Nothing actionable. Nothing that crosses the line into official complaint territory. Kira documents everything, says nothing, waits. She knows what's coming. Men like Marcus telegraph their intentions in the language of small cruelties that build to crescendos. Cadet Claire Ashford finds Kira at the obstacle course that evening. 20 years old, red hair, green eyes. The only woman in the Ranger program brave enough to speak to the Navy Observer everyone else pretends doesn't exist. Lieutenant Thorne, Claire's voice is uncertain. Cadet Ashford, I wanted to apologize for what's happening. What's happening? Claire hesitates, looking for words that won't make her complicit. The harassment, the exclusion, the way Marcus and his friends are treating you. Some of us don't agree with it, but none of you are stopping it. Claire's face flushes. We can't go against Marcus. He's the battalion commander. His father was a legend. If we challenge him, then you're complicit. Kira's voice is flat, a judge reading a sentence. Every person who watches abuse and does nothing is part of the abuse. That's not fair. Combat isn't fair. Life isn't fair. The only thing that matters is what you do when you see something wrong. Kira meets Claire's eyes, green meeting gray. Right now, you're watching. That makes you part of the problem. Claire looks away, shame written across her features like a confession. I'm sorry, she whispers. Don't be sorry, Kira says. Be better. She walks away. Claire stands alone, understanding for the first time what complicity feels like. The weight of it, the taste. Flashback, Kira's childhood. San Diego, 2008. Darkness covers the world at 4:30 in the morning. The house on Coronado Island sleeps. Waves crash against the beach 3 blocks away. The sound of the ocean breathing. Click, click, click. Master Chief Gabriel Thorne's prosthetic leg taps against the hardwood floor. The rhythm of a man who learned to walk twice. Once as a boy, once as a warrior missing pieces of himself. 10-year-old Kira wakes to the sound. She knows what it means. Training time. Gabriel Thorne stands in the doorway. 52 years old, silver hair, eyes like steel that forgot how to bend. He lost his left leg below the knee in Fallujah, Iraq, 2006, before Kira was born, before he learned that fatherhood was harder than combat. Up, kid. Darkness doesn't care about your feelings. Kira rolls out of bed. No complaints, no questions. She learned years ago that Gabriel doesn't respond to weakness, only to effort. They run 4 miles through Coronado in the dark. Gabriel's prosthetic leg clicking against pavement in perfect rhythm. Kira's small legs pumping to keep up, her lungs burning, her muscles screaming. Gabriel doesn't slow down. Neither does the enemy, he says when she asks for rest. By age 15, Kira can field strip an M4 blindfolded. By 18, she enlists in the Navy with a single goal: naval special warfare. The instructors tell her women can't be SEALs. She becomes one anyway. Not through exemptions, not through lowered standards, through performance that exceeds every male candidate in her class, through pain tolerance that makes her instructors uncomfortable, through a refusal to quit that borders on pathological. Hell Week 2020, basic underwater demolition / SEAL training, the crucible that breaks 4 out of 5 candidates. Kira is 20 years old, one of 2 women in Class 340. The instructors watch her like scientists observing an experiment they expect to fail. She doesn't fail. She excels. Faster swims than the men, more pull-ups, better rifle scores. Every metric that matters, she dominates. But the nights are hard. After the instructors leave, after the cameras stop recording, Kira sits alone in the barracks. Bruises cover her body like a map of suffering. Her hands shake from exhaustion. Her muscles have forgotten how to relax. She cries. 30 seconds, no more. Just enough to remember she's human. Then she wipes her tears and prepares for the next day. Gabriel taught her that weakness is acceptable in private, that breaking is part of becoming unbreakable, that the strongest steel gets tempered in the hottest fire. She graduates BUD/S in 2021, one of the first 2 women to earn the Trident. The Navy makes a press release, photographs, ceremony. Kira doesn't care about any of it. She just wants to do the job. Present day, day 3. The escalation comes on day 3. Marcus corners Kira in the equipment storage building. Sunset bleeds through the windows. Long shadows turn the space into something predatory. Grant Rivers blocks the front exit. Tyler Kennedy takes the back. Owen Blackwell hangs near the door, uncertain. His body language screams reluctance, but his presence screams compliance. Time for a conversation, Lieutenant. Marcus's voice echoes off concrete walls. Kira stands still, hands loose at her sides, weight balanced, every muscle in her body ready for violence, but showing none of it. Cadet Vance, I hope you've thought carefully about what you're about to do. I've thought about nothing else. Marcus steps closer. You embarrassed me in front of my men. Referenced my father like you had any right to his name. I stated facts. You tried to manipulate me, use his memory against me. I tried to remind you who he was, what he stood for. Kira's voice remains calm. A lake before the storm. Your father saved 12 lives. He didn't care who fought beside him as long as they fought. He would have been disgusted by what you've become. Marcus's fist flies toward her face. Kira catches it, twists. The leverage is perfect. Physics and training compressed into reflex. Marcus drops to one knee. His face contorts, pain writing poetry across his features. 60% functionality, Kira says quietly. That's what I have in my right arm. Burns and nerve damage from pulling my swim buddy out of a burning building in Fallujah. He died anyway, but I tried. She releases him. Marcus scrambles to his feet, breathing hard. The other cadets watch, waiting for orders that don't come. This isn't over, Marcus says. No, Kira agrees. It isn't. She walks past Grant and Tyler. They part without being told. Owen meets her eyes as she passes. Something flickers there. Not hatred. Recognition, maybe. Respect trying to be born in soil that won't support it. That night, Kira sits alone in her quarters. The photograph of David Brooks rests on her footlocker. His smile captured in pixels in paper. The eyes that saw too much and still found reasons to hope. I'm trying, David, she whispers to the silence. Trying to honor what you taught me. Silence answers. They don't understand. They see a woman and assume weakness. They see Navy and assume outsider. They can't imagine that the person sent to evaluate them might be more qualified than anyone they've ever met. She touches the tally marks on her forearm. 8 lives, 8 promises kept. But the 9th, her voice cracks, the 9th was supposed to be you, and I failed. The photograph doesn't respond. David Brooks stopped responding 3 years ago in a field hospital in Iraq. But somewhere in the silence, she hears his voice, the last words he spoke before the morphine took him too deep to surface. Emma, tell her daddy loved her. Kira wipes her eyes. I will, she promises the ghost. I promise. She puts the photograph away and prepares for whatever comes next. The trap is set for day 4. Marcus spends 2 days planning, timing patrol rotations, identifying camera blind spots, gathering allies who believe what he believes, that women don't belong in combat roles. That diversity is destroying the military. That someone has to make a stand. His plan is simple. Corner Thorne on the rooftop of Malvesty Hall during a late-night meeting. Make it look like an accident, a slip, a fall. No witnesses, no consequences. Just one less problem for the program. What he doesn't know is that Kira has been tracking him since the storage building incident. She knows about the meetings, the planning, the allies he's gathered. She goes anyway, because some lessons can only be taught in blood. 2300 hours, September 18th, the rooftop of Malvesty Hall. Kira receives the text message from an unknown number. Meet Malvesty Hall rooftop, 2,300 hours, important. She stares at the screen, her reflection ghost-like in the black glass. She opens her laptop, pulls up security footage she's been archiving. Marcus and his 3 allies in a planning session 2 days ago. No audio, but the lip reading is clear enough. Rooftop. Accident. Disappear. Kira closes the laptop. She knows it's a trap. Knows they're planning to hurt her, maybe kill her. The smart play is to report it. Let Hartwell handle it through official channels. But official channels don't teach the lessons that need to be taught. Kira attaches a small body camera to her shirt, the kind Special Operations uses for after-action review. Hidden. Recording. She checks the battery. Full charge. She stands, walks to the mirror. The woman looking back is 25 years old, but her eyes are ancient. They've seen things that turn souls into stone. Buildings burning, friends dying. The space between heartbeats where decisions get made that echo forever. Some lessons can only be taught in blood, Kira tells her reflection. The reflection doesn't argue. She leaves her quarters and walks into the Georgia night. The air smells like pine and distant rain. Storm coming. Always a storm coming. Malvesty Hall rises 4 stories against a sky full of stars that don't care about human violence. The building is dark, empty. Everyone else asleep or pretending to be. Kira climbs the stairs. Her boots echo in the stairwell. Each step a choice. Each choice a commitment. She reaches the rooftop door, pushes it open. Wind hits her face, strong, carrying the promise of change. 4 shadows detach from darkness. Marcus Vance, Grant Rivers, Tyler Kennedy, Owen Blackwell. They form a semicircle, predators surrounding prey. You came alone, Marcus says. Kira steps onto the rooftop. You expected different? Marcus smiles. No humor in it, just teeth and intention. Let's see what Navy really taught you. Kira pulls out her phone, hits record on the body camera app. The red light blinks once. I've been recording for 72 hours, Cadet Vance. I know about your meetings, your plan. Marcus freezes. I came anyway, Kira continues, because you need to learn what attacking me costs. She pockets the phone. Come on then, she says. Teach me where I belong. Marcus attacks first. The night explodes into violence. Marcus's right hook comes fast. Training and rage compressed into knuckles aimed at Kira's temple. The kind of blow that ends fights before they begin. Kira slips it. Her body moves like water, finding the path of least resistance. Years of combat compressed into muscle memory that doesn't need thought. Her left hand redirects his momentum, uses his strength against him. Her elbow drives into his jaw with surgical precision. Marcus stumbles back, blood on his lip, surprise in his eyes. Grant Rivers comes from the left, Tyler Kennedy from the right. Coordinated, practiced. They've trained together for months, know each other's movements like dancers know choreography. Kira drops low. Grant's punch whistles over her head. She sweeps Tyler's legs. He goes down hard, concrete, unforgiving against spine. The air leaves his lungs in a wheeze. But there are 4 of them. Owen Blackwell hesitates. His body language screams reluctance, but he's here, present, complicit. Kira blocks Grant's follow-up strike. Her forearm meets his wrist. Bone on bone. Pain radiates, but she doesn't flinch. Can't flinch. Flinching means dying. Marcus recovers, charges, all 200 pounds of him aimed at her center mass. Kira sidesteps. Almost, not quite fast enough. His shoulder clips her ribs. Something cracks inside her chest. The pain is white-hot, blinding. She tastes copper. Her right arm fails. The nerve damage from Fallujah chooses now to remind her what 60% functionality really means. Her fingers won't close, won't grip. The arm hangs dead at her side like meat on a hook. Tyler is back on his feet. He grabs her from behind. Arms around her chest, squeezing. The broken rib grinds. Kira sees stars. She drives her heel down into his instep, feels bone crunch beneath her boot. Tyler screams. His grip loosens but doesn't break. Grant punches her in the stomach. Once, twice. The air leaves her lungs. She can't breathe, can't think. The world narrows to pain and the desperate need for oxygen. Marcus stands in front of her. His fist cocks back. She sees it coming, can't stop it. His knuckles connect with her temple. The world explodes. Blood pours down her face, hot and thick. It fills her left eye, turns the world red. She tastes it, smells it, the metallic tang of her own mortality. They drag her toward the edge. Kira fights every inch. Her left hand claws at faces, finds eyes, soft tissue that remembers pain. Grant curses, stumbles back, hand over his face, blood between his fingers. But Tyler still has her. Marcus grabs her legs. Owen finally moves, reluctant but moving. His hands on her shoulders. Together they lift. The ledge approaches. 4 stories of empty air beyond it. 50 feet to concrete parking lot. To death that arrives at terminal velocity. Your father would be ashamed. Kira's voice is a rasp. Blood bubbles on her lips. Don't talk about my father. Marcus's face twists with rage that might be grief. He saved 12 lives. Helmand Province, June 19th, 2019. 7 Americans, 3 British, 2 Afghan interpreters. Shut up. He didn't care who they were, just did his job. They push her toward the edge. Her boots scrape concrete, leave marks like epitaphs. And you're spitting on his memory, Kira continues. Emma Brooks is 6 years old. Her father died in my arms after I pulled him from fire in Fallujah. Her torn sleeve reveals the tattoo. Dragon coiled around trident. Navy SEAL insignia rendered in black ink and scar tissue. Below it, 8 small marks, 8 tallies. Every mark on this arm is someone's father, someone's son, someone's brother. People who went home because I didn't care what anyone thought about whether I belonged. Her fingers slip another inch toward the edge. I just did my job. Marcus looks at the tattoo, the 8 marks. Reality crashes into assumption. The woman he's trying to kill isn't what he thought she was. She's everything his father died being. Die, bitch, he whispers. They shove. Kira goes over the edge. Gravity takes her. The world inverts. Sky becomes ground. Ground becomes sky. Her left hand shoots out. Instinct older than thought. Survival coded into DNA. Her fingers catch the ledge. Concrete scrapes her palm raw. Her nails tear. 3 of them rip completely off. Blood pools beneath her grip. She swings into the wall. The impact drives the air from her lungs. Her right shoulder dislocates with a sound like a branch breaking. She hangs, 4 stories above death. Her left arm takes all her weight, 128 pounds suspended by fingers and will. The muscles in her forearm scream. Tendons stretch beyond their design specifications. Her grip slips, millimeter by millimeter. 4 faces lean over the edge. Marcus Vance, Grant Rivers, Tyler Kennedy, Owen Blackwell. They look down at her like gods deciding the fate of something beneath them. "Let go," Marcus says. "Save us all the trouble." Kira meets his eyes. Blood drips from her face. Her right arm hangs useless. Every nerve in her body screams for relief. "Your father would be ashamed," she says again. "Don't talk about my father. He saved 12 lives. He didn't care who they were. Didn't care what they looked like. He just did his job." Her fingers slip another inch. "And you're spitting on his memory." "Shut up." Emma Brooks is 6 years old now. Her father, David Brooks, died in my arms 3 years ago. March 22nd, 2022, Fallujah, Iraq. Operation Crimson Shield. Kira's voice steadies despite the agony, despite gravity trying to claim her. "He died because I wasn't fast enough, wasn't strong enough, but I tried. God knows I tried." She looks up at the 4 of them, blood in her eyes, death at her back. "Every tally mark on my arm is someone's father, son, brother. People who went home because I didn't care what anyone thought about whether I belonged. I just did my job." Her grip slips again. She's hanging by 3 fingers now. "If you want me dead, you'll have to watch it happen. You'll have to live with it forever." Silence on the rooftop. "Or you can help me up and spend the rest of your career knowing that the woman you tried to kill was more of a warrior than you'll ever be." The wind howls. 60 seconds of silence that feels like hours. Owen Blackwell steps forward. "This is wrong," his voice cracks. "I'm not part of this anymore." "Owen," Marcus warns. "She's right. Your father would be ashamed." Owen looks at Marcus with something that might be pity. "So would mine." Owen reaches down, grabs Kira's wrist. But Kira doesn't wait to be rescued. Her damaged right arm, 60% functional, nerve dead and scarred, finds strength it shouldn't have. Muscle memory from Fallujah, from carrying David Brooks through fire, from every operation where quitting meant dying. Her right hand grabs the ledge, both hands now. The pain is biblical. Her shoulder screams. The dislocated joint grinds bone on bone. She pulls. Every muscle fiber fires. Her core engages. Her legs find purchase on the brick wall. She climbs. In her mind, she's back in Fallujah. Fire everywhere. David Brooks on her back. 180 pounds of dead weight. The building collapsing. Every instinct screaming to let go and save herself. She didn't let go then. She doesn't let go now. Inch by inch, Kira Thorne pulls herself back from death. Her right elbow reaches the ledge, then her chest, her hips. She rolls onto the rooftop like something rising from a grave. Blood covers her face. Her right arm hangs nearly useless. Her ribs are broken. Her shoulder dislocated. 3 fingernails torn off. But she stands. Marcus, Grant, and Tyler stare at her like they've seen a ghost. Maybe they have. Maybe ghosts are just people who refuse to stay dead. "That's what SEALs do," Kira says. Her voice is steady, clear. "We don't quit. We don't break. We climb back up." Footsteps echo in the stairwell. Heavy boots. Multiple people. The cavalry arriving too late or right on time depending on perspective. Colonel James Hartwell emerges onto the rooftop. Master Sergeant Diane Fletcher behind him. 6 military police with weapons drawn and flashlights cutting through darkness. Hartwell surveys the scene. 4 cadets frozen in shock. Kira standing in a pool of her own blood. Ranger cadets Marcus Vance, Grant Rivers, Tyler Kennedy, Owen Blackwell. Hartwell's voice could cut steel. You are detained for assault under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, Article 128. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court-martial. Marcus tries to speak. His mouth opens. Nothing comes out. Did you think we sent just anyone to evaluate this program? Hartwell steps forward. Did you think we sent Navy lieutenants to observe Ranger training without vetting them? Silence on the rooftop. Lieutenant Thorne has more combat experience than your entire class combined. Multiple Valor Awards, including a Silver Star, earned in classified operations. Purple Heart for injuries sustained pulling another SEAL from a burning building in Fallujah, Iraq. The words land like artillery shells. Her unit designation is Tier 1 Special Operations. The specifics are classified beyond my clearance level, but I can confirm she served with distinction in Naval Special Warfare Command. 4 combat deployments. 8 confirmed saves of American and Allied personnel under fire. Marcus's face goes white. The color drains like someone opened a vein. I didn't know, he whispers. We didn't know. That's the point. Kira's voice cuts through. You judged me based on what you could see instead of what I could do. In combat, that ignorance gets people killed. She turns to address the growing crowd of cadets gathering in the courtyard below. Their phones out, recording. This moment captured for posterity. Kira rolls up her sleeve. The dragon tattoo gleams under moonlight and flashlight beams. 8 tally marks beneath it. Scars from burns that should have killed her. Every mark on this arm is a promise kept. A life saved. A moment when I chose to act instead of calculating odds. She touches the 8th mark. This one belongs to David Brooks, my swim buddy, my friend, the man who died in my arms because I wasn't fast enough to save him. Her voice doesn't break. Warriors don't break. They bend. They crack. But they don't break. His daughter Emma is 6 years old. She told me her father wrote that the best warriors aren't the ones who fight the hardest. They're the ones who teach others to fight, who pass on what they know so it doesn't die with them. She looks at each face in the formation below. 200 cadets watching, learning, understanding something that lectures could never teach. That's why I'm here, not to prove anything, not to change policy, but to teach, to pass on what was given to me, to make sure the next generation is better prepared than I was. Kira steps back from the edge, away from death, toward whatever comes next. Carry that lesson forward. Teach it to the people you lead. Make sure that no one who comes after you faces what I faced on this rooftop. Not because it's policy, because it's right. The formation is silent. Then one person starts clapping. Cadet Claire Ashford, 20 years old, red hair, green eyes, the woman who watched injustice and did nothing until she understood what doing nothing cost. Her applause is slow, deliberate, each clap distinct. Then another cadet joins, then another. The sound rolls across the parade ground like thunder, 200 graduates on their feet, applauding a woman who refused to die. The MPs move forward. Zip tie Marcus, Grant, and Tyler. Owen gets cuffed, but gently. His cooperation noted. His last-minute attempt at redemption recorded. As they're led away, Marcus looks back. His eyes meet Kira's. In that moment, he sees what his father must have seen in Helmand Province. Not the enemy, not the mission, just the people beside him who needed saving. Marcus understands too late what his father died knowing from the beginning. The person who saves your life might not look like what you expect. The hospital room smells like antiseptic and failure. Machines beep rhythms that sound like surrender. Kira lies on the bed, her right arm wrapped in bandages, her ribs taped. The gash on her temple closed with 12 stitches that will leave a scar to match all the others. The CT scan shows what the doctors feared. The fall aggravated previous nerve damage. One more bad impact and she'll lose function entirely. The arm will become decorative, useless. Kira stares at the ceiling. White tiles, fluorescent lights, the architecture of institutional care. She doesn't care about the prognosis. What matters is what comes next. Colonel Hartwell enters without knocking. The exhaustion on his face tells the story of a man who has spent 6 hours managing a crisis that could end careers, including his own. The doctors say you were one slip away from permanent paralysis. I've been closer. That's not reassuring, Lieutenant. It wasn't meant to be, sir. Hartwell pulls a chair beside her bed. The metal legs scrape against linoleum, the sound of things being moved that should stay still. Vance and the others are in custody. CID is handling the investigation. The charges include assault with intent to commit grievous bodily harm, conspiracy, and conduct unbecoming of a cadet. He pauses, studies her face for reaction, finds none. Blackwell is cooperating. His statement confirms everything: the planning, the intent, the fact that they wanted you dead. Hartwell leans forward. He also confirmed that he tried to help you at the end. He did. Does that matter to you? Kira is quiet for a moment. Outside the window, Fort Benning continues its business. Training, preparing, forging warriors from clay that thinks it's already steel. Yes, she says finally, it matters. Why? Because redemption has to start somewhere. Sometimes somewhere is just pulling back from the edge before you fall over it. Hartwell nods slowly. You knew about the ambush, about their plan. I suspected. And you went anyway. Yes. Why? Kira meets his eyes. Because some lessons can only be taught in blood, sir. If I had reported them, they'd have been disciplined and released. They'd have learned to hide their hatred better, not to abandon it. She touches her bandaged arm. This way, 200 cadets watched me climb back up that ledge with one working arm. They learned something no lecture could teach. What did they learn? That the person they underestimate might be the one who saves them. Hartwell is silent, processing, computing the cost-benefit analysis of a teaching method that nearly resulted in death. Permission to speak freely, sir? Granted. Marcus Vance's father was a hero. He saved 12 lives and died doing it. But somewhere along the way, Marcus stopped trying to live up to his father's values and started trying to prove he was worthy of his father's name. Kira's voice softens. Not much, just enough to suggest humanity beneath the armor. Those aren't the same thing. You think he can be saved? I think everyone can be saved. The question is whether they want to be. Master Sergeant Diane Fletcher arrives at 0600 the next morning. Sunrise bleeds through the hospital windows. Gold and red, the colors of warning and promise. You look terrible, Diane says. Thank you, Sergeant. Your bedside manner is exceptional. Diane almost smiles. The expression suggests the muscles aren't used to the motion. The base is talking about nothing else. 200 cadets saw you climb back up that roof with blood in your eyes and one working arm. She sits on the edge of the bed. The mattress compresses. Everything in hospitals compresses. Spirits, hope, the belief that tomorrow will be better than today. You're either a legend or insane. Most people are betting on both. What are you betting on? I'm betting you did exactly what you intended to do. Diane meets Kira's eyes. You wanted them to see. You wanted the whole program to understand what they were dealing with. I wanted them to learn. Learn what? That courage doesn't announce itself. That strength doesn't come in standard packaging. That the person who saves your life might look nothing like what you expect. Diane nods slowly. Her expression shifts. Something personal breaking through professional distance. My daughter wants to be a Marine. She's 14, tough as nails, already talking about infantry. And you're worried. I'm terrified. Diane's voice drops. Becomes something other than Master Sergeant. Becomes mother. Because I know what she'll face. The Marcus Vances of the world. The men who think women don't belong. The ones who will test her and break her and try to make her quit. What do you tell her? I tell her to be strong, to be patient, to prove them wrong. Kira shakes her head. Don't tell her to prove them wrong. Tell her to do her job. The proof takes care of itself. Diane is quiet for a moment. Is that what your father told you? My father told me that darkness doesn't care about your feelings, that the enemy doesn't care about your gender, that the only thing that matters is what you do when everything falls apart. Sounds like a hard man. He was the hardest man I ever knew, and the best. Is he still alive? He's at the VA hospital in San Diego. Dementia. Doesn't recognize me most days. Kira's voice cracks slightly, just a hairline fracture in the armor. But sometimes he remembers, and on those days he tells me he's proud. That's something. That's everything. Cadet Claire Ashford comes to visit that afternoon. She stands in the doorway for a long moment, uncertain whether to enter. Her face shows the sleepless night spent processing what she witnessed. You can come in, Cadet. Claire approaches the bed slowly, each step measured, deliberate. Ma'am, I wanted to. I needed to. She stops, starts again. I was wrong about everything. About you. About what I should have done. What should you have done? I should have spoken up when Marcus started the harassment, when the others joined in, when I saw what was happening and did nothing. Claire's voice breaks. I was a coward. You were afraid. That's the same thing. No, Kira says, it isn't. Cowardice is running from danger. Fear is feeling the danger and facing it anyway. You felt the fear, you just haven't learned to face it yet. How do I learn? By starting now. By speaking the truth even when it costs you. By standing up for what's right even when everyone around you is doing what's wrong. Claire nods slowly, absorbing, processing, becoming something new. Is that what you did in Fallujah? Kira is quiet. The machines beep. The hospital continues its business of keeping people alive who maybe don't want to be kept alive. In Fallujah, I did what my training told me not to do. I went into a burning building to save someone everyone said was already dead. She touches the tally marks visible beneath the hospital gown. He wasn't dead. Not yet. And because I didn't listen to protocol, he lived long enough to say goodbye to his family. But he still died. Everyone dies, Cadet. What matters is what we do before that happens. What matters is whether we try. Claire wipes her eyes. The other cadets, the women, we've been talking about what you did, about what it means. What does it mean? It means we're not alone. It means someone proved that we belong. Claire's voice steadies. It means we don't have to be afraid anymore. Don't misunderstand me, Cadet. You should be afraid. Fear keeps you alive. What you shouldn't be is silent. Kira meets her eyes. Speak, fight, refuse to be erased. That's how you honor the people who came before you. People like you. People like David Brooks. People like my father. People who gave everything so that others could have the chance to give something. Claire straightens, military bearing returning. Can I ask you something personal, ma'am? Go ahead. The 8th tally mark, the one you said died in your arms, what was he like? Kira closes her eyes. For a moment, she's back in Fallujah. The heat, the smoke, the weight of David Brooks's body across her shoulders, his blood mixing with hers. He was kind, funny, the kind of man who could make you laugh in the middle of a firefight. She opens her eyes. He had a daughter named Emma. She was 4 when he died. He never got to teach her to swim. That's terrible. That's war. We lose the best of us, and the only way to honor them is to keep fighting, keep teaching, keep making sure their sacrifice meant something. Claire's voice firms. I want to learn, ma'am. Whatever you can teach me, I want to be ready. Ready for what? For whatever comes next, for the people who will try to break me the way Marcus tried to break you. Kira studies Claire's face, looking for doubt, for the kind of uncertainty that gets people killed. She finds neither. Report to me tomorrow, 0500. We start with fundamentals. Fundamentals of what? Survival. The phone rings at 2200 hours, 3 days after the rooftop. Kira sits alone in her hospital room, David Brooks's photograph on the table beside her bed. Unknown number. She stares at the screen for 3 rings. 4. 5. On the 6th ring, she answers. Lieutenant Thorne. The voice on the other end is young, female, uncertain. Hi, my name is Emma Brooks. Kira's heart stops. The world narrows to the voice on the phone in the photograph of a man who died 3 years ago, holding a picture of his daughter. Emma? My grandpa told me about you, about what you did for my daddy. Kira sits up straight, ignoring the pain in her ribs, the protest of her dislocated shoulder. How did you get this number? Grandpa. He said you're deciding something important. He said Daddy would want me to thank you. Emma, you don't need to. You pulled him out of the fire. Emma's voice cracks. 6 years old, but already understanding loss. He lived long enough to say goodbye to me on the phone. Because of you. Silence on the line. Just breathing. 2 people connected by a ghost. I'm going to be a sailor someday. Like Daddy. Like you. Kira's throat tightens. Emma, Grandpa says you're the best teacher in the world. He says Daddy believe you do great things. Emma pauses. Kira hears an adult voice in the background, coaching, supporting. Please don't give up, Lieutenant Thorne. Daddy believed in you. The call ends. Kira stares at the phone, then at David's photograph. Kira picks up the phone and dials a number she memorized years ago, but never called. Naval Special Warfare Command, Coronado. How may I direct your call? This is Lieutenant Kira Thorne, service number 7392468. I need to speak with the BUD/S training director about a senior instructor position. The decision is made. The path is set. Emma Brooks will learn to swim. And when she's old enough, when she's ready, Kira Thorne will be there to teach her everything her father would have taught her. Everything and more. The court-martial proceedings begin on a Tuesday, October 7th, 2025, Fort Benning, Georgia. The military courtroom fills with a kind of silence that precedes storms. Every seat occupied. Dress uniforms pressed to razor edges. The weight of careers and futures pressing down on everyone present. Kira Thorne sits in the front row. Her right arm, 22 years old, but looking younger now. Smaller. The arrogance stripped away by reality. Now the uniform represents his destruction. Colonel Sarah Winters presides. 50 years old, silver hair, eyes that have adjudicated 36 courts-martial and learned that justice is complicated but necessary. The charges against Cadet Commander Marcus Vance include assault with intent to commit grievous bodily harm, conspiracy to commit assault, and conduct unbecoming of a military cadet. Judge Winters' voice fills the courtroom. How does the defendant plead? Marcus's attorney rises. Captain Hugh Morrison, civilian suit, expensive, hired by the Vance family with money they don't have to spare. Not guilty, Your Honor, on all counts. Kira feels her jaw tighten. Not guilty. After everything, after the rooftop, after 4 men tried to throw her to her death. Not guilty. The prosecution calls its first witness. Cadet Owen Blackwell takes the stand. 20 years old, brown hair, brown eyes. He's lost weight since the incident, the guilt eating him from inside. Major Frank Castellano handles the prosecution. 45 years old, 20 years as a JAG officer. He's seen everything. This case still makes him angry. Cadet Blackwell, please describe your involvement in the events of September 18th. Owen's hands tremble. He grips the witness stand like it's the only thing keeping him upright. I was there, on the rooftop of Malvesty Hall, with Marcus Vance, Grant Rivers, and Tyler Kennedy. What was the plan? Owen's voice cracks. To hurt Lieutenant Thorne. To make it look like an accident. Whose plan was it? Marcus's. He said she needed to disappear. Said she was destroying everything his father built. And you participated? Owen looks down. Shame written across his features like a confession carved in stone. I participated until the end. Until she was hanging from the ledge. He looks up, meets Kira's eyes across the courtroom. Then I tried to help. Too late, but I tried. Captain Morrison rises for cross-examination. He adjusts his tie, buys time to construct the narrative he needs. Cadet Blackwell, isn't it true that you're testifying in exchange for reduced charges? Yes, sir. So you have a personal interest in making Cadet Vance look guilty. Owen's voice hardens. He is guilty. We all are. He leans forward. The difference is I'm admitting it. The courtroom stirs. Murmurs ripple through the gallery. Judge Winters's gavel cracks like a gunshot. Order! Morrison retreats. Nothing further. Grant Rivers and Tyler Kennedy testify next. Both have accepted plea deals. Reduced sentences in exchange for testimony. Their stories are consistent. Marcus organized the attack, planned the timing, chose the location. They were following orders. Both claim they hadn't intended to actually kill her. Major Castellano destroys that defense with a single question. If you didn't intend to kill Lieutenant Thorne, why did you push her off a 4-story building? Neither has an answer. The courtroom breaks for lunch. Kira stands in the hallway outside. Master Sergeant Diane Fletcher brings her coffee. Black, no sugar, the way warriors drink it. How are you holding up? I've been through worse. That's not an answer. Kira takes a sip. The coffee tastes like regret in institutional brewing. I'm fine, Sergeant. Diane studies her, looking for cracks, for weakness, for anything that suggests the woman who climbed back up a rooftop is still human underneath the armor. You know Marcus is going down. The evidence is overwhelming. I know, but you're not happy about it. Kira watches cadets walk past, young men and women who joined to serve something larger than themselves, who believe the uniform meant something, who are learning that institutions are only as good as the people who comprise them. I'm not unhappy about it. Justice matters. Accountability matters. She turns to Diane. But I'm not celebrating someone's life being destroyed, even if they tried to destroy mine. That's very evolved of you. That's very tired of me. The afternoon session begins with Kira's testimony. She walks to the witness stand slowly, her injuries visible despite her efforts to minimize them. The medical brace, the healing gash, the way she holds her right arm close to her body like something that might break. Major Castellano approaches. His expression is respectful, careful. He knows what she is, even if the courtroom doesn't. Lieutenant Thorne, please describe what happened on the night of September 18th. Kira's voice is steady, clear, a professional giving a briefing. I received a message to meet Cadet Vance on the rooftop of Malvesty Hall at 2300 hours. I suspected it was a trap. I went anyway. Why would you walk into a known trap? Because some lessons can only be taught in blood. The courtroom goes silent. Even the stenographer stops typing. Kira continues. If I had reported my suspicions, Cadet Vance and his allies would have been disciplined and released. They would have learned to hide their hatred, not to abandon it. By facing them directly, I ensured that everyone would see the truth. The truth being? That prejudice isn't just wrong, it's dangerous. It leads to exactly the kind of violence that happened on that rooftop. Captain Morrison stands for cross-examination. He approaches the witness stand like a man walking through a minefield. Lieutenant Thorne, you admit you walked into a situation you knew was dangerous. I did. Some might say you provoked the attack. Kira's voice hardens. Winter frost on steel. Provoked? I existed. I wore a uniform. I did my job. If that's provocation, then every woman in military service is guilty of the same crime. Morrison tries a different angle. But you admit you could have avoided the confrontation. I could have avoided a lot of things. I could have avoided enlisting, avoided SEAL training, avoided Fallujah. She touches her bandaged arm. But avoiding difficulty isn't what warriors do. We face it. We overcome it. We teach others how to survive it, even at the cost of your own safety, especially at the cost of my own safety. That's what service means. Morrison has no more questions. He returns to his table, looking like a man who just lost a fight he didn't know he was in. The prosecution calls one final witness. The prosecution calls Robert Brooks to the stand. Kira's blood goes cold. David's father. She hadn't known he was here, hadn't known anyone had contacted him. An elderly man walks to the witness stand, 70 years old, gray hair, eyes that have seen too much grief. He moves slowly, each step deliberate. The walk of a man carrying decades of loss. He wears his old Navy dress uniform. The ribbons tell a story. 30 years of service, 3 wars, 2 sons lost to combat. David in Iraq, his older brother Thomas in Afghanistan. Mr. Brooks, please state your relationship to Lieutenant Thorne. Robert's voice is steady, clear. The voice of a man who made peace with pain a long time ago. Lieutenant Thorne pulled my son from a burning building in Fallujah, Iraq, March 22nd, 2022, Operation Crimson Shield. The courtroom is absolutely silent. He died 3 days later in her arms. Major Castellano lets the words settle, lets them sink into the consciousness of everyone present. How do you know this? Because she came to see me after she got stateside, could barely walk, still had burns healing on her arms. But she came to my house in San Diego and told me everything. His voice breaks, just slightly, just enough to show humanity beneath the military bearing. She told me David's last words, about Emma, about teaching her to swim. Why are you here today, Mr. Brooks? Robert looks at Kira. Their eyes meet across the courtroom. An understanding passes between them, the kind that doesn't need words. Because this young woman represents everything my son died for. He didn't die protecting a program or a tradition. He died protecting people, all people, regardless of what they looked like. He turns to face Marcus, the old sailor's eyes boring into the young cadet. My son served with women, trusted them, respected them. He would have been ashamed of what happened on that rooftop. Objection, Morrison stands. The witness has no direct knowledge of the incident. Overruled. Judge Winter's voice cuts through. The witness may continue. Robert leans forward. His hands grip the witness stand. Your Honor, I spent 30 years in the Navy. My son spent 12. My other son Thomas spent 8 before he was killed in Kandahar. He pauses, breathes, continues. Between us, we served alongside hundreds of women who were braver, stronger, and more dedicated than many of the men we knew. This idea that women don't belong in combat, that's not tradition. That's fear dressed up as principle. Robert looks back at Kira. Something like pride crosses his face. Lieutenant Thorne climbed into flames to save my son. She held him as he died. She carries his name on her arm. His voice cracks completely now. If she doesn't belong in the military, then neither did David. And I refuse to accept that. The courtroom is silent. The kind of silence that follows truth spoken without filter. No further questions, Your Honor. Captain Morrison stands, approaches, stops. The words die in his throat. Some battles can't be won. Some testimony can't be crossed. No questions, Your Honor. The verdict comes 3 hours later. The jury deliberates in a conference room down the hall. 12 officers, career military. They've seen the evidence, heard the testimony, watched the security footage that Hartwell provided. Footage of the entire incident captured from 3 different angles. Kira waits in the hallway. Diane sits beside her. Neither speaks. Words seem inadequate for moments like this. Claire Ashford stands at the end of the hall. She's been attending every day of the trial. taking notes, learning what justice looks like when it works. The bailiff emerges. We have a verdict. The courtroom fills again. Same people, different energy, the anticipation electric. Judge Winters enters. Everyone stands. The ritual of military justice playing out according to script. Has the jury reached a verdict? The jury foreman stands. Colonel Patrick Reeves, 30 years of service. Infantry, 2 tours in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan. He knows what combat looks like, what warriors are. We have, Your Honor, on the charge of assault with intent to commit grievous bodily harm, how do you find? Guilty. Marcus's face goes pale. The color drains like water from a broken vessel. On the charge of conspiracy to commit assault, how do you find? Guilty. On the charge of conduct unbecoming of a military cadet, how do you find? Guilty. Judge Winters nods. The gavel hasn't fallen yet, but the decision is made. The defendant is hereby sentenced to reduction in rank to the grade of E1, forfeiture of all pay and allowances, confinement for 18 months, and dishonorable discharge from the United States Army. The gavel falls. The sound echoes in the silent courtroom. Marcus is led away in handcuffs. His shoulders slump. The weight of consequence finally real, finally undeniable. As he passes Kira's row, he looks at her. Their eyes meet. In that moment, understanding passes. Not forgiveness, not acceptance. Just the recognition that both their lives changed on that rooftop. Only one of them chose the change. After the verdict, Kira finds Robert Brooks waiting outside the courtroom. The old sailor stands beneath a Georgia oak. Afternoon sun filters through leaves. The light catches the silver in his hair. Mr. Brooks, Lieutenant Thorne. He studies her face, the healing injuries, the exhaustion that lives in her eyes. You look tired. I am tired. I imagine so. After everything. He pauses, choosing words with care. David told me about you, in his letters before Fallujah. He did? He said you were the best operator he'd ever served with, said you never quit, never complained, never let the fact that you were the only woman in the unit slow you down. Robert's eyes glisten, moisture gathering, but not falling. He told me he'd follow you anywhere, that if things went bad, you were the one he wanted beside him. Kira's throat tightens. I wasn't fast enough in Fallujah. If I had moved sooner... Stop. Robert holds up his hand, the gesture firm, final. I didn't come here to hear apologies. I came here to say thank you. Thank you for what? For trying. For going into that fire when everyone else said to leave him. For giving him 3 more days. His voice breaks. 3 more days to say goodbye. 3 more days for Emma to hear her father's voice on the phone. Do you know what that's worth? I know what it cost. No, you know what you paid. What it's worth is something else entirely. Robert steps closer. His hand reaches into his pocket, pulls out a small object wrapped in cloth. My son left this for you, in his personal effects. The Navy returned it after he died. But I held on to it, waiting for the right time. He unwraps the cloth. A challenge coin gleams in the sunlight. Naval Special Warfare. Dragon coiled around a trident. David's unit identifier. He wanted you to have it, said you'd earned it more than anyone he knew. Kira takes the coin. Her hands tremble. The metal is warm from Robert's pocket, from being carried, from being kept safe. I can't. You can. You will. Robert closes her fingers around the metal. Honor him, not by carrying guilt, but by continuing what he started. Train the next generation. Make sure they understand what service really means. What does it mean? It means giving everything for people who may never know your name. It means climbing into fires and hanging from rooftops and refusing to quit when everyone says you should. He meets her eyes. It means being exactly who you are, no matter what anyone else thinks. Kira holds the coin against her chest, the weight of it, the promise. Thank you. Don't thank me. Make it count. Robert Brooks walks away. An old sailor carrying the weight of sons lost but not forgotten. Kira stands alone, David's legacy in her hand, the ghost of his voice in her ear. She understands what comes next. The training intensifies over the following weeks. November arrives with cold that cuts through Georgia like prophecy, the mornings frost-covered, the afternoons sharp with wind that tastes like change. Claire Ashford and 5 other female cadets show up every morning at 04:30, an hour before Kira requires. They want to prove they can handle more than asked. Kira pushes them harder than she was pushed. Joint locks, chokes, pressure points, escape techniques, everything she learned in the shadows now brought into the light. The curriculum designed to create operators who can survive when everything goes wrong. Claire hits the mat for the 15th time. Her body makes a sound like meat on concrete. Ma'am, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. You're telegraphing, looking at where you want to strike before you strike. Kira helps her up, the motion automatic, ingrained. How do I stop? You stop by understanding that your eyes are a weapon. Control what they reveal, and you control the fight. She steps back. Try again. This time, look through me, not at me. Claire attacks. This time her movements are cleaner, less predictable. Kira still counters her easily, but the improvement is visible. Real. Better, still not good enough. When is it good enough? Good enough is a myth. There's only better and worse. You're getting better. The other cadets gather to watch, learning from Claire's mistakes, from Kira's corrections, the education happening in real time. One of them raises her hand. Cadet Jennifer Martinez, 19 years old, prior enlisted, infantry. She's seen combat, knows what it costs. Ma'am, can I ask about Fallujah? Kira pauses, the question hanging in the air like smoke. What do you want to know? How did you do it? Go into the fire when everyone said to leave. I didn't think about it. Thinking would have stopped me. Kira touches her arm, the dragon tattoo visible beneath her sleeve. In combat, there's a moment when training takes over, when your body moves before your mind can calculate odds. That's where courage lives, in the space between awareness and action. How do we find that space? Training, repetition, pushing yourself past the point where thinking is possible. She looks at each face in turn. Young women who chose this, who volunteered for difficulty, who understand that equality doesn't mean sameness, it means opportunity. The reason we drill techniques 1,000 times isn't to make them automatic. It's to make them instinctive. So when the moment comes, you act without hesitation. And if we hesitate, then people die. People who trusted you to be faster, stronger, better. Kira's voice hardens, not cruel, just honest. That's the weight we carry. Every operator, every warrior, the knowledge that our hesitation costs lives. Claire steps forward, her uniform soaked with sweat, her face determined. Ma'am, the 8 tally marks on your arm, you said each one represents someone you saved. That's right. Are there people you couldn't save? Silence falls over the group. The question everyone wants to ask, but only Claire has the courage to voice. Kira is quiet for a long moment. Outside the training facility, Fort Benning continues its business. Creating warriors, breaking civilians, the endless cycle of preparation for violence that might never come. The 8th mark is David Brooks. I pulled him from a burning building. He lived for 70 more hours. Then he died. Her voice is flat. A surgeon describing a procedure. I couldn't save him. I could only give him time. Is that enough? It has to be. Because the alternative is drowning in what-ifs. What if I'd been faster? What if I'd found him sooner? What if the fire hadn't been so hot? She shakes her head. Those questions have no answers. All we can do is try. And keep trying until we can't anymore. And when we can't anymore, then we teach. We pass on what we learned. We make sure the next generation is better prepared than we were. Claire absorbs this, processing, becoming something new right there on the training mat. Is that why you're here? At Fort Benning? I'm here because my arm doesn't work well enough to operate anymore. Because the Navy decided I was more valuable teaching than fighting. Kira pauses. But I'm also here because Marcus Vance and people like him need to see what they're fighting against. Not women, not outsiders. Warriors who earn their place through blood and sacrifice. Did you earn yours? Every inch of it, and so will you, if you're willing to pay the price. What's the price? Kira rolls up her sleeve. The dragon tattoo, the 8 tally marks, the burn scars that cover half her forearm. This is the price. Pain, loss, the knowledge that some of the people you love will die, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. The cadets stare at the scars, at the permanent record of what service costs. That sounds terrible. It is terrible, but it's also necessary, because the people who aren't willing to pay that price, they're the ones who get others killed. She rolls her sleeve back down. That's enough for today. 04:30 tomorrow. Don't be late. The cadets disperse. Claire lingers. Ma'am? Yes, cadet. The coin, the one Mr. Brooks gave you. Can I see it? Kira hesitates. Then she reaches into her pocket, pulls out David's challenge coin, the metal worn smooth from being carried, from being touched like a talisman. Claire takes it carefully, holds it like something holy. It's beautiful. It's heavy, heavier than it looks, because of what it represents, because of who carried it before me and who I'll pass it to when my time is done. Claire returns the coin. I want to earn one someday. Then keep training, keep learning, keep refusing to quit when everyone says you should. Kira pockets the coin. That's how you earn it, one day at a time. Is that how you earned yours? I earned mine in a burning building in Fallujah, but I started earning it the day my father woke me at 04:30 and told me that darkness doesn't care about my feelings. She smiles slightly, the expression foreign on her face. He was right. Darkness doesn't care, but neither do I. 1 week later, Kira visits the confinement facility. The building is gray, institutional, designed to strip away identity and replace it with compliance. Marcus Vance waits in the visitor's room. Orange jumpsuit, hands cuffed in front of him, eyes that have learned what consequence looks like. He's lost weight, the arrogance that defined him stripped away by confinement, by having time to think, by understanding what he destroyed. You came back. You asked me to. Marcus looks down, at the table, at his cuffed hands, at anything except Kira's face. I ask every week. You've never come before. I wasn't ready before. I am now. Ready for what? To listen, to understand, to decide whether you're worth saving. Marcus's jaw tightens. I thought you said everyone was worth saving. I said everyone deserves the chance to be saved. Whether they take it is up to them. Silence stretches between them. The guard by the door shifts, bored. This conversation happening beneath notice. Why are you really here, Lieutenant? Because your father deserves better than what you became, and because I believe you can still become what he would have wanted. What do you know about what he wanted? I know he saved 12 lives in Helmand Province. I know he didn't care who they were or what they looked like. I know he died protecting people who never knew his name. Kira leans forward. That's not legacy, Marcus. That's love. The kind that doesn't ask for recognition. Marcus's eyes glisten, moisture gathering. I've been reading his letters, the ones he wrote to my mother before he died. I never read them before. Too painful. What did they say? They said he was afraid. Every mission, every deployment. Not afraid of dying, afraid of failing the people beside him. His voice cracks. He wrote that the hardest part of service wasn't the fighting. It was trusting that the person next to you would do their job, regardless of who they were, And you thought he meant regardless of rank, of experience. I thought he meant regardless of everything except capability. I thought he was saying that standards mattered more than people. What do you think now? I think he was saying that people are the standards, that capability isn't something you're born with, it's something you earn. Marcus looks up, meets her eyes for the first time. That judging someone before they've had the chance to earn it is the worst kind of cowardice. Kira studies his face, looking for manipulation, for the kind of survival instinct that makes people say what others want to hear. She finds only pain, raw and honest. What do you want, Marcus, from this conversation? From me? I want to understand how to fix what I broke. You can't fix it. Some things once broken, stay broken. Then what can I do? You can build something new, something better, something that honors what your father actually believed instead of what you imagined he believed. How? By starting over, by accepting that the man you were is dead, and deciding who the man you'll become will be. Marcus is quiet for a long moment, the weight of the decision visible on his face. In here, I've had time to think. About what I did, about why I did it. He meets her eyes. I was so focused on being worthy of his name that I forgot what made his name worth carrying. Which was? Service. Real service. Not the kind that builds reputations or earns medals. The kind that asks nothing in return except the chance to protect someone who needs protecting. And you think you can learn that? After everything? I don't know, but I want to try. Kira reaches into her pocket, pulls out David Brooks's challenge coin, sets it on the table between them. The metal gleams under fluorescent lights. Do you know what this is? Naval Special Warfare Unit Identifier. It belonged to my swim buddy, the 8th tally mark on my arm. He died in my arms in Fallujah. She pushes a coin toward him. His father gave it to me after the trial. Said David would have wanted me to have it. Why are you showing me this? Because David Brooks was everything your father was. Brave, selfless, willing to die for people he barely knew. Kira's voice hardens slightly. He never would have tried to kill someone because of what they look like. He would have judged them by what they did. I know. Do you? Because the Marcus Vance I met on that parade ground didn't know. He saw a woman and assumed weakness. He saw Navy and assumed outsider. He couldn't imagine that the person sent to evaluate him might be more qualified than anyone he'd ever met. I was wrong. You were worse than wrong. You were dangerous. Kira takes the coin back. But dangerous can be redirected. It can be channeled into something useful, if you're willing to do the work. What work? The work of becoming someone new, someone who protects instead of destroys, someone who builds instead of tears down. Can you teach me that? No, that's something you have to teach yourself. She stands. But I can show you where to start. Where? By apologizing, not to me. I've heard your apologies. By apologizing to Claire and the other women you terrorized. By acknowledging what you did and accepting the consequences. They won't forgive me. Forgiveness isn't the goal. Understanding is. Kira walks toward the door. The guard straightens, ready to escort her out. Lieutenant Thorne. She stops, doesn't turn around. Thank you for coming, for listening, for... His voice breaks completely. For not giving up on me when everyone else did. I haven't decided not to give up on you yet. That depends on what you do next. What should I do next? Figure out who you want to be, then become that person. She opens the door. I'll be watching. She leaves. Marcus Vance sits alone in the visitor's room, the challenge coin gone, but the impression of it remaining. A circle pressed into the metal table. Understanding blooms slowly, like flowers in winter. What redemption will require? Not forgiveness, not forgetting, just the slow, painful work of becoming someone new, someone worthy of the name he carries. December arrives with ceremony. The graduation takes place on the parade ground. 200 cadets in formation. The Ranger Training Brigade's largest class in 5 years. Among them are Claire Ashford and the 6 other women who trained with Kira over the past months. Colonel Hartwell presides, his uniform perfect, his bearing military. But something has changed in his eyes, a softness that wasn't there before. This class has achieved something remarkable, not just completion of the program, but transformation. You came here as individuals. You leave as warriors. He pauses, lets the words sink in. But before we proceed, I have a special announcement. Lieutenant Kira Thorne has requested permission to address the graduates. Murmurs ripple through the formation. Kira walks to the podium. She looks at the faces before her, young men and women who suffered through hell together, who learned what she had learned, who will carry forward what she taught. 6 months ago, I arrived at Fort Benning with orders to observe and evaluate this program. Her voice carries across the parade ground, clear, strong. What I found wasn't what I expected. I found tradition masking prejudice. I found fear disguised as standards. I found men who believed that strength came in only one form, and that anyone who didn't fit that form didn't belong. Silence. I also found something else. I found cadets willing to change, willing to learn, willing to see past their assumptions and recognize capability wherever it existed. She looks at Claire, at the transformation visible in the young woman's bearing, her confidence, her strength. I found a young woman who watched injustice and did nothing, until she understood what doing nothing cost. Now she stands before you as one of the top performers in this class. Claire's face flushes, but she doesn't look away, doesn't hide. I found instructors who questioned their own beliefs, enlisted leaders who supported change even when it was unpopular, a commanding officer who trusted me to do what needed to be done. She looks at Hartwell. He nods slightly. Permission granted. Understanding achieved. And I found myself. Not the operator I was before Fallujah. Not the ghost I became after. Something new. Something that emerged from fire and blood, and the choice to keep climbing when everything said to let go. She rolls up her sleeve. The dragon tattoo gleams in the winter sun. 8 tally marks beneath it. The scars from burns that should have killed her. Every mark on this arm is a promise kept, a life saved, a moment when I chose to act instead of calculating odds. She touches the 8th mark. This one belongs to David Brooks, my swim buddy, my friend, the man who died in my arms because I wasn't fast enough to save him. The parade ground is absolutely silent. His daughter called me last month, 6 years old. She told me her father wrote that the best warriors aren't the ones who fight the hardest. They're the ones who teach others to fight. She looks at each face in the formation. That's why I'm here, not to prove anything, not to change policy, but to teach, to pass on what was given to me, to make sure the next generation is better prepared than I was. This class has learned more than combat techniques. You've learned that courage has no gender, that strength has no size, that the person who saves your life might not look like what you expect. She steps back from the podium. Carry that lesson forward. Teach it to the people you lead. Make sure that no one who comes after you faces what I faced on that rooftop. Not because it's policy, because it's right. The formation is silent. Then one person starts clapping. Claire Ashford, slow and deliberate. Each strike of palm against palm distinct and purposeful. Then another, then another. The sound rolls across the parade ground like thunder. 200 graduates on their feet, applauding a woman who refused to die. After the ceremony, Master Sergeant Diane Fletcher finds Kira at the edge of the parade ground. Hell of a speech. It was overdue. Did you decide about Coronado? Kira is quiet for a moment, watching cadets embrace families, celebrate completion, begin the next chapter of lives dedicated to service. I'm going. I figured you would. but not for the reasons you think. Then why? Because Emma Brooks is going to be a sailor someday, and when she arrives at BUD/S, I want to be the one who trains her. I want to finish what her father started. Diane nods slowly. That's a long game you're playing. The only kind worth playing. Kira touches the tally marks on her arm. David gave me 70 extra hours with him. I'm going to give his daughter a lifetime of preparation. She might not make it. SEAL training breaks most people. Then I'll be there to help her try again, however many times it takes. You're assuming she'll want to try. She will. I heard it in her voice. The same fire her father had. Kira smiles slightly. Some legacies can't be denied. They just have to be nurtured. Diane extends her hand. It's been an honor, Lieutenant. Kira shakes it. The honor was mine, Sergeant. Thank you for believing in me when no one else did. I didn't believe in you. I recognized you. Diane meets her eyes. I've served with warriors my whole career. I know what they look like. You had it from the moment you walked onto this base. Even when I was being dragged toward a rooftop? Especially then. The ones who go toward danger instead of away from it, those are the ones who change history. Claire arrives as Diane walks away. Ma'am, I wanted to say goodbye. It's not goodbye, Cadet. It's see you later. What do you mean? I mean you're going to earn your tab, then you're going to apply for cross-service training, and then you're going to show up at Coronado and make me prove everything I taught you. Claire's eyes widen. You think I can make it through SEAL training? I think you can make it through anything. The question is whether you believe it. I didn't before. And now? Now I believe everything is possible, if you're willing to pay the price. Kira reaches into her pocket, pulls out David's challenge coin, the metal worm from being carried. This belonged to my swim buddy. His father gave it to me after the trial, said David would have wanted me to have it. Ma'am, I can't. I'm not giving it to you. I'm loaning it. Kira presses the coin into Claire's hand. When you earn your trident, you'll give it back. And then you'll understand what it really means. Claire stares at the coin, the weight of it, the promise. What if I fail? Then you'll bring it back anyway, and we'll figure out what comes next. Kira squeezes her hand. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the path to it. You really believe that? I climbed out of a burning building with a man on my back and 60% of one arm working. I climbed back up a roof while 4 men tried to kill me. Kira meets her eyes. I believe that anything is possible for anyone willing to keep climbing. Claire wipes her eyes. Thank you for everything. Don't thank me, earn it. Kira walks toward the parking lot where her rental car waits. Claire calls after her. Ma'am! She stops. The 9th tally mark, the one you said you would never add. What changed? Kira looks at the 8 marks on her arm, at the dragon coiled around the trident, at the scars that tell the story of Fallujah. Nothing changed. There will never be a 9th mark. She pauses. But there will be hundreds of warriors who carry what I taught them, who pass it on to others, who extend the chain until it reaches people I'll never meet. Is that enough? Instead of saving lives directly? It's more than enough, because one person can only save so many. But a teacher creates other teachers, and those teachers create more. Kira gets in her car. The ripples spread forever. That's your legacy. That's everyone's legacy, if they choose it. 1 month later, Kira receives the call. Her father, Gabriel Thorne, has died peacefully in his sleep at the VA hospital in San Diego. 72 years old. Master Chief Petty Officer, retired. The man who taught her that darkness doesn't care about feelings. Kira flies back to California. The funeral is small. Military honors. 21-gun salute. The flag folded with precision and handed to her, the weight of it in her hands. She stands at the grave after everyone leaves, the San Diego sun warm on her face, the Pacific Ocean visible in the distance. Her father would have liked that, being buried where he could hear the water. "You were right, Papa," she says to the headstone, "about everything." The stone doesn't answer. Gabriel Thorne stopped answering 3 months ago when the dementia took the last pieces of who he was. But Kira remembers his last lucid words, spoken in the hospital room with surprising clarity, his hand gripping hers with unexpected strength. "Stay tough, kid. Stay strong. Don't let anyone tell you what you can't do." She hasn't. She won't. Kira touches the headstone once, then walks away. The living have work to do. The dead understand. September 2026 arrives with new purpose. Kira stands at the gates of Naval Special Warfare Center, Coronado, California. The Pacific wind carries salt in the sound of BUD/S candidates being broken on the beach. Some of them will quit today. Some will last weeks. A few will make it through. She wears her Navy uniform, lieutenant bars gleaming, the ribbon rack telling a story that most will never know. Silver Star, Purple Heart, Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, Combat Action Ribbon. The new BUD/S class gathers for morning formation. Class 358, 60 young men and women who believe they have what it takes to become SEALs. Most of them are wrong. Kira walks among them, looking at faces, assessing, measuring, seeing who has fire and who has smoke. "You've heard stories about me. Some of them are true, some of them aren't." Her voice carries across the formation. "What matters is this. I've been where you're going. I've seen what you'll see. I've lost what you'll lose." She stops at the center, all eyes on her. 6 months from now, most of you will be gone, broken by the training, defeated by your own limitations. That's not failure, that's discovery. You'll learn what you're capable of. And for some of you, that won't be enough. She rolls up her sleeve. The dragon tattoo gleams in the dawnlight, 8 tally marks visible to everyone. "But for those who remain, I promise you this. I will teach you everything I know, every technique, every principle, every hard-won lesson from operations you'll never read about. More importantly, I'll teach you why we fight, who we fight for, what makes the difference between someone who survives and someone who doesn't." She looks at each face in turn. Courage has no gender. Strength has no size. The person who saves your life might not look like what you expect. Remember that. Live it. Teach it to the people who come after you. Because the legacy we build isn't measured in tally marks or medals or stories that get told around campfires. It's measured in the warriors we create, in the lessons we pass on, in the chains we extend until they reach people we'll never meet. She steps back. "Welcome to BUD/S. Your transformation begins now." The training begins. Kira watches them run toward the ocean, toward Hell Week, toward the crucible that will break most and forge the few. And somewhere in the formation, a young woman with blonde hair and blue eyes watches with intensity that suggests legacy running in her veins. Emma Brooks, 17 years old, not enrolled yet, just visiting, learning, preparing for the day 10 years from now when she'll stand in this same formation. Kira doesn't see her yet, but she will. Some promises take time to keep. 10 years later, 2036, Naval Special Warfare Center, Coronado. The cycle continues. A new BUD/S class gathers. New faces, same dreams, the eternal hope that this time will be different. Lieutenant Emma Brooks stands before them, 27 years old, blonde hair pulled back in regulation bun, blue eyes like her father's, seal trident on her chest, earned through blood and determination and refusing to quit when everything said she should. She shows her arm to the class, one tally mark beneath her dragon tattoo, one life saved during deployment to Somalia. Operation classified, denied by 2 governments. Below the mark, a name tattooed in precise letters. K. Thorne. "My instructor once told me," Emma says to her class, That legacy isn't measured in medals. It's measured in the warriors we create. She looks at the faces before her, young, hopeful, unaware of what's coming. My father was a SEAL. He died in Fallujah before I was old enough to remember him. But the woman who tried to save him, she made sure I knew everything he would have taught me. Emma touches the tally mark. Commander Kira Thorne is watching from the office right now. She's 36, too much nerve damage to operate anymore. But she can still teach, still prepare, still make sure the next generation is ready. She points to the building behind them. She taught me. I'll teach you. And someday you'll teach others. That's how legacy works. That's how we honor the people who came before. Welcome to BUD/S. Your transformation begins now. The class begins their run. Emma watches them go. Behind her, in the second-floor office, Commander Kira Thorne stands at the window, silver in her hair now, reading glasses perched on her nose. But the eyes are still winter storms, still warrior. She watches Emma teach, watches the cycle continue, watches the chain extend one more link. David Brooks's ghost stands beside her, not haunting, guiding, proud of what his daughter became, grateful for the woman who kept her promise. Kira touches the 8 tally marks on her arm, faded now, the tattoo aging with her, but the meaning permanent. She will never add a 9th mark. But the warriors she created, they'll add hundreds, thousands, the ripples spreading across oceans and continents and generations. That's legacy, not what you save, but who you teach to save others. Kira turns from the window, returns to her desk. There's work to do. Course curriculum to design, training evolution to plan, the next generation to prepare. The ghost of David Brooks smiles. His daughter is ready, his legacy secure. And somewhere in San Diego, at Fort Rosecrans National Cemetery, Gabriel Thorne's headstone catches afternoon sun. The inscription, simple. Master Chief Gabriel Thorne taught his daughter that darkness doesn't care about your feelings. She learned. She taught others. The chain continues. The wind carries salt from the Pacific, the eternal ocean breathing, indifferent to human violence and human love. The waves crash, the tide rises, the cycle continues, and Kira Thorne, warrior, teacher, keeper of flames, understands at last what the 8 tally marks really meant. Not lives saved, not promises kept, not scars earned in fire. They meant legacy, the kind that doesn't end with death, the kind that grows with every student taught, the kind that proves beyond any doubt that the best warriors aren't the ones who fight the hardest. They're the ones who teach others to fight, and then step aside to watch them shine.